everyone. Welcome to the VK Podcast. Hope you're ready to get raw, because we're getting raw today. I'm up here along with my co-host, Chris Hansen. What's up, Chris?
What's up, man? How you doing today?
Hey, every day's a vacay for me, brother. So it's only fitting that we're talking getting away and supplements and all our favorite stuff. So it's all good. How about yourself in sunny Florida?
Everything's good, baby. It's not so sunny today. It's a little cloudy out. We've been getting some rain, but it doesn't stop the vacay from going down.
There you have it. We appreciate everyone joining us in our early stages of the podcast. We're going to talk all things health and wellness, getting away, both functionally and hey, we're going to talk wellness retreats and the true island lifestyle of getting away as well, stress relief and everything in our daily, our experiences, we're the triers, so you don't have to. We're out there trying. I thought I was a supplement king until I met Chris and saw his backpack weighs 474 pounds with supplementation that he's been trying.
A little research and development,
Exactly.
Always exploring.
And we are the co-founders of VK, the best way to get away, both naturally and plant-based premium products. So we'll talk more about that as we move along. But today, it's been a hot topic, and this is something I love. I'm a big connoisseur, I think, of like the mushrooms you eat. I'm always like different ones at the store, like, okay, I'll go for that and try those. So I've always been a mushroom lover, but mushroom supplements are booming. It's a $50 billion industry today that's supposed to grow by $100 billion the next 5 years. Chris, mushrooms are booming and blooming.
At the booming and blooming, baby. That fungi frenzy is going down right now.
There's so many puns to be had in the mushroom field.
I know. Well, it sounds like, so your experience was cooking, right?
Yeah,
you're
cooking.
Buying off of what? Flavor profiles?
Yeah. I mean, like this. Even and some of these are crossing overs now into the supplements space, but good shiitake mushrooms,
right?
The portobello, if you may have it. I'll tell you this.
Yeah.
This is a bonus content right here. We're going to talk about mushroom supplements, but if I'm not a vegetarian. I'm a carnivore, a Vivian, whatever you want to call it, carnisaurian, not a vegetarian. But I do. If you soak a portobello mushroom in the right seasoning, like for 24 to 48 hours, and then you grill it, it is one of the closest things to when you slice up and eat it. If you like close your eyes, it does taste like a piece of meat if it's been seasoned and
really?
It's quite good. So there's your little insider tip for the day. Get your portobello mushroom.
You sold me on it.
Yeah, a little Worcestershire, a little soy sauce, some garlic powder, maybe a little seasoned salt, and let that thing soak in like a Ziploc overnight. There you go. There's your meat alternative.
I like
Make
it.
you a steak sandwich.
I like it
with a portobello mushroom. Sans the steak.
I mean, I see them on the menu. It just never pulls to me. But you sold me a little bit. I'm intrigued to try it now.
Yeah,
and to go off that.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I would never make it the main course, but you could at least have it as a side item. That's about like if you're out.
Hey, maybe for the days I want to put some effort in health wise, I think it can be a good it'll make me feel better about myself. But it's funny you say that because it just makes you like, we're all familiar with mushrooms, right? Like they've been around forever, but now, obviously, the last 2-3 years, it really seems like people are looking at these for the functional benefits. How can this improve my health? Not, the taste of what I'm cooking. But I feel like and I want your opinion on this too. Obviously, I've been, buried in the supplement world for a while now and always looking for natural healing stuff. But, it's like, where's that disconnect between, because I even feel like talking in general, and I don't know if you've had this experience, just talking about mushrooms in general to people as a health supplement or something for energy is like so foreign where they're like, all they know about is like portobello and and shiitake mushrooms or magic mushrooms. There's no like middle ground in between there, you know?
Yep.
So
No,
I
for
think
sure.
we're entering a
It's
new time
definitely
where
been
this is
more taboo.
Well, you look around, you know, you can see Amazon, which is a great way to kind of see what people are into right now. I mean, you see mushroom supplements everywhere. So I think it's one of the biggest things, I guess, in the supplement world that we're going to see for a while. I mean, I think it's going to take off. It is taking off.
Yeah.
So
It's funny how things hit your radar. Like, I've been into supplements again. I joke because I think, you know, my wife thinks I'm crazy. You know, I take like, 30 pills in the morning, and Chris takes 65 though. So I was like, I just thought I was a supplement guy, but I have always been paying attention. I think it's a guy thing too. Like, I don't know, especially if you're trying to be healthy and you work out and stuff. It's like the natural progression. You know, you start working out and then you're like, well, can I feel a little better? Can I get more energy? So you kind of go down that
100%.
kind of pre-workout, pre-daily thing. But I'll say this. So like being in the Amazon and the, health and wellness section of a CVS or Walgreens or whatever your local drugstore is, there's been a definitive like peripheral rise of mushrooms around me, like it's just been hitting the radar more and more.
Big time.
And obviously our involvement with vacay and what we're doing in that space has obviously escalated it, being in the business of supplementation, but I've definitely seen and felt it, especially on Amazon.
100%. I mean, I take a mushroom supplement daily. I get off Amazon. I mean, obviously, and then maybe we need to touch on, just while we're on this, like, what are these mushrooms? Like, what are these quote unquote functional mushrooms that we're starting to see? I know when it really came to my attention for the first time was mud water. I remember seeing their ads all over, social media, probably like 3-4 years ago. And that's where I was like, all right, like I drink a lot of coffee. This is a coffee alternative. What is this? And it's essentially functional mushroom coffee with some other, cacao and some other beneficial natural products. But that was kind of what opened my eyes. And I, tried it, liked it. It was good. I just think I'm too much of a coffee fan to like mix up, like, I want my coffee. I don't want to be adding mushrooms into it or whatever. So I opted to stick with my coffee, and then I'll take, the capsules. But yeah, stuff like lion's mane seems to be really huge right now. You're seeing lion's mane and cordyceps, probably the two biggest hitters that I'm seeing kind of make waves right now. Yeah.
I mean, speaking to lion's mane and cordyceps, those were the first two. Like I have a big social media following, so I get people that reach out to me all the time, like want to send me product, and and I appreciate it. Like they're just usually someone that's either at a t-shirt company or a supplement company or something. And that was probably like 18 months ago. And they sent me a cordyceps lion's mane vial and like dropper. And I did it. And I was, I just was expecting to get like anything else to kind of be like, voodoo shit. And I take a lot of
like taking vitamin C. You're just like,
exactly.
Oh, great.
It might be helping me, but I don't really know how.
Right.
But I was getting ready to do a video. I was going to be on camera, and like 30 minutes before, I was like, it'd come in the mail. I'd like having to just get it right before. I'm like, oh, I'm going to try it. Why not? Number one, it didn't taste so great, which I'm not supposed to, a little vial dropped on there.
Right.
But then I'm recording the video, and like I got rolling for like 15 minutes, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to take a little break because I didn't even remember taking it. And then I was like, why do I feel like I just drank like the strong, not saying Red Bull wouldn't be fair, but I just felt like I had just had a really large energy drink combined with something kind of tingling on my brain. And it wasn't a bad feeling, but it was just unexpected. And I forgot that I'd even really taken it. I'm like, oh yeah. I said, that stuff actually does something. And so I was pretty impressed with the way it was. It definitely felt brain tingling, enhancing. It had an effect on the nerve system in the brain or something.
Right. I've noticed that. It's funny. I kind of had a similar experience where, and this is where I knew it worked too, was I did my normal coffee, which I feel like I have a pretty heavy coffee habit. And the day I took it, I was like, I kind of felt like I was tweaking a little bit. Like I was like, all right, why do I feel like I am amped up, borderline jittery, where kind of like you, I'm like, what's different today? And I'm like, oh, I took the mushroom supplement. And that was kind of my like, okay, this clearly gives me the kind of what I'm looking for with coffee in a little bit of a different way, but enough to where I'm like, okay, I don't need to drink as much coffee because this is doing that for me. Which really, I think it's better than coffee now. I mean, don't get me wrong, I still drink my coffee, but when I take my coffee and I take, a lion's mane cordyceps blend, I'm good for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
Like I don't have that afternoon crash, where it feels like a cleaner, more sustainable energy and focus. But then obviously, that's what kind of hooked me was like, I like how this feels. And then the more I researched and learned about it, the biggest one, lion's mane, being that it's, helping with your neuroplasticity and kind of reprogramming and I don't know about reboosting, but it's good for your brain and your neurons and essentially rebuilding those neuron connections. And I'm like, oh, dang, like this is full on nootropic. That's the buzzword right nowadays, but like a legitimately brain boosting supplement, but I can actually feel it. I can feel it working in a way where you can tell me to take fish oil all day and it's good for me. But like, if I don't feel anything from it, it's, you know what I mean? There's that, it seems more of a chore than like, now I'm like, oh yeah, I want it. Like I'm going to play golf. Don't forget to take the lion's mane before, so you can be like focused on the game,
Yes. If you're going to improve the golf game, we might could sell a lot of that stuff.
I think it's coming. Yeah. Trust me.
Oh yeah.
I've done a little research and development on that front, and we've got some happy researchers. But I will
say, I think it's a good point, for anyone listening here, the nootropic side of things is where you're seeing a lot of these mushrooms used because of the brain impact. And you're probably seeing that word. And if you've been in the self-enhancement game on any level, you probably know kind of what it is. It's memory boosting, brain boosting, kind of. A lot of biohackers like started the kind of that whole thing. They were trying to find compounds that were not like prescription drugs, but I mean, some of them had compounds that might have been crossing the line in the beginning, but finding things that enhanced your brain capacity at the end of the day, trying to, for all of us that weren't born maybe with those 140 IQs or whatever, trying to get the most out of our brain. And it's brain boosters and mental boosters. And now you saw the term start 10 years ago, but now it's becoming more mainstream in all of these, OTC / Amazon, ordering supplements. And cordyceps, I think that's where kind of the energy came in when I took that supplement. And now it's in other supplements that I take. And it does kind of have a natural stimulation to it. And it's just fascinating to me, again, back to our whole premise with all this plant-based wellness, like we have these things that come from Earth, given to us, and they have all of these immunity-based, health-based, mental-based things. So it's just, we've got to like tap into them more and really like, I guess, continue to study them, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think in which there is. I mean, there's more studies happening like crazy now, especially in, the functional have had a little bit more freedom as far as studying the quote unquote magic, the psilocybin. Now they're being allowed to do a lot more studies on it with the legislation changing and stuff like that. So very exciting. But kind of what you mentioned, that what popped in my head was the nootropics. And I always think of the movie Limitless, where everyone wants that. That's what ultimately everyone's looking for. And I think for a long time, you've seen that with people with Adderall or all, these prescription stimulants. And I think there's a big kind of move away from those now, and people looking, okay, and really what the studies are coming out, Adderall long-term is not great, where we're used to taking these stimulants that they're great for stimulating you, but outside of that, they're degenerative on your health, really. They're not boosting, where I think we're finding this move toward natural, like, okay, this is giving me what I'm looking for as far as stimulant properties, but there's a whole other bag of positive goods coming along with it in the background, whether, like you said, it's positive for your respiratory health, your cardiovascular, anti-cancer properties. I mean, there's a list of positives, and really, I don't see any negatives associated with. I mean, could you take too much and feel a little bit wired? For sure, but you can do that with anything.
Yeah, exactly. Everything in moderation, including moderation.
Exactly.
But
yeah,
it's I don't know. I think, people get hooked on coffee. They're like, or drinking too much or having too much caffeine and all these things. So I think it's all about finding kind of that balance and really unlock. That's the key. It's funny you bring up the limitless thing, but like we all want to maximize ourselves, right? I mean, anyone that's going to listen to this podcast is likely trying to maximize their health and wellness. You want to get the most out of your body, the most out of yourself in whatever your passion is and whatever you're doing. And you want to do it in the most natural way possible. And so I think educating yourselves on these types of supplements, trying them in, healthy ways in the right doses is what's key to doing that. And I think, if you're someone out there listening and you're trying to get a mental edge, I would definitely start, with some kind of lion's mane cordyceps. You can Amazon, Google that. We're going to have blogs and articles on our site, takeavk.com. So,
right.
But I think it's a great starting point if you're trying to, it feels like a really easy, because after I did, I'm like, okay, a first step towards the nootropic that isn't like going like into outer space as far as like tingling your brain too much. I feel like it's a real natural feel to it. And I still take something that has both of those in it. And every time I do, I'm kind of reminded of the effects.
Well, and you can see these being added into things like pre-workout.
Yeah.
Because I would venture to say I've had more bad experiences taking a pre-workout than like ever any of these supplements. I mean, some of these pre-workouts are like crack, it's like, and a lot of those were filled with tons of these research chemicals that, were kind of gray area legality wise, where now, and the main one I'm thinking about that I've seen this in is, Alpha Brain, right? A little plug for them where, or On It Labs, I guess would be better, because some of their supplements don't have, but a lot of them, all natural ingredients, but you see cordyceps in here, lion's mane in here, what's exciting is being able to kind of laser focus in on each of these mushrooms in general and like, okay, what are the benefits of each of these? And then to start kind of formulating blends, which you're starting to see more and more, which is kind of like what we've done with vacay. We take a little of this, a little of that.
Yep.
Let's make a blend that we think can benefit you in this way or that way or whatever. But I think you're right. The functional mushrooms, for anyone looking to get, start the wellness journey.
Yeah.
If there was any single supplement I think I would recommend, it would be some type of mushroom supplement, because I think you're getting into something that's really good for you, but you're getting into something that you're going to notice quickly is benefiting you.
Yeah.
I really think that in itself is a motivator, where you can tell me to take all these things every day, but if I don't notice something, it's just you're not as drawn to it.
That's right.
But yeah, with these things, you'll notice a difference within first week.
Yeah, for sure.
Like
the crossover with we talked about the eating mushrooms, shiitake mushrooms now being in a lot of the supplementation, the pill version or a powdered version, or in maybe one of the drinks, the pre-mixed drinks and things like that. But you're saying it lowers cholesterol levels, like does everything from immunity to cholesterol lowering effects. And that's where I want to see the mainstream, like in the testing, because it's showing positive. And I mean, with my experience, I think it's going to prove out, but I'd love to see the lab testing and the more, they do these mainstream studies for all the chemical based stuff. Like let's get all this stuff on the table. Like, why? How?
Right.
It's 2023, baby. Like, the government, let's fund this thing.
I agree with you. I mean, I think, like what you said, that's the problem is we're not seeing a lot of government money behind it because pharma can't really benefit on it. But you do see a lot of independent studies, a lot of universities starting to really, kind of gain interest in this. And like you said, I mean, just my own experience, because I really started, I would say, regularly on the mushroom supplements probably 8 months ago, when I daily was like, all right, this is a daily thing. I'm liking this. When I went to my doctor in February, my blood work was phenomenal. And really nothing else changed in my day-to-day besides the supplements I was taking, and predominantly being the mushroom supplements. And he's like, I don't know what you're doing, but your blood work is phenomenal. I mean,
that's fascinating.
And that's just internal,
Yeah.
As far as what I feel like I gained professionally, day to day has been, just excellent.
Yeah, I love it. And, I'll say this from a personal standpoint. My grandmother, had Alzheimer's and had dementia. And she lived longer and had it for a long period of time. We were blessed that she had a very slow progression of that. And so she lived a healthy and happy existence with it for the most part, even when it got towards, certainly not the last probably 6 months to a year, but like she lived like 10, 12 years, like with it. And 8 or 9 of those weren't, other than her short-term memory started to just go away near completely. She was happy as can be. She had a caregiver at home and stuff like that, but they're proving out the benefits of mushrooms, or even the the brain inducing, like those psychotic effects of psilocybin mushrooms as potentially having benefits for people that have Alzheimer's, that have these mental deficiencies or things that are going on. And on a personal level, my mom is starting to show degeneration with her short-term memory. And, I really want to be an advocate for testing these natural things that might have an impact, because they're not proving to find a chemically based formulation that's working for Alzheimer's or doing anything really for dementia or short-term mental. And so if there's the possibility that something from the earth might have even a minimal impact, then we need to be talking about and testing, and it is growing, but we just got to get some of the legal parameters. I don't want to say out of the way, but where they should be in the ability to test these things. Yeah,
we need to get cut the red tape and let doctors and researchers do their thing.
Yeah.
And it's the irony what you just said, where clearly what we have in the lab made synthetic pharmaceutical world, nothing is really killing it with Alzheimer's. Nothing is showing great progress, right? And if anything, you're seeing more pharmaceutical drugs attributing to Alzheimer's. And a lot of those being drugs people are using to, like Xanax being the biggest one. And I remember there's a famous clip from an Oprah show where a doctor's on there and literally tells her, Xanax attributes to dementia, actually, which, why would an anti-anxiety drug be causing early onset dementia? Well, we can just avoid all of that. There's we talk about this all the time, and part of the vacay mission is like a relaxing lifestyle, right? Like we have all these anti-anxiety natural plants and herbs. We have these brain, like really lion's mane. What it does is it's helping your nerve growth factor, I believe, or NGF. It stimulates your nerve growth factor in your brain. So clearly, if dementia is the opposite of that, where it's like, why are we avoiding all these naturally beautiful things that the earth is providing us with, when we know the other way is, don't get me wrong, there's benefits, but we know there's a lot of losers over there, where I'm not seeing any of these things causing long-term dementia or whatever other negatives. There's a million.
And that's, but we know some of the reasons why. You can't patent something from the ground, and
right.
it's just, you've got all the red tape that's been established for things and the stigma that's been associated with it. And when in reality, the opposite is a lot of times true. And, but again, it's heartbreaking to think that there are these potential benefits for low cost plant-based supplementation that could change someone's lives. And the only reason we haven't gotten ahead of it is because of some pre-established red tape or tax or, the ability to make money off of it.
Right. Yeah, it is. It is really insane because even these gaining popularity is actually, just from a macro perspective, it's better for the healthcare system. You're lowering healthcare costs as a whole for the nation. How many people are having trouble just affording their monthly prescription medications? Even insulin is insane. Basic things people need every day, which, speaking of insulin, diabetes, also another pro that's been shown from functional mushrooms is maintaining your blood sugar levels and keeping them at a healthier blood sugar. So, I think there's so many profound benefits. It's just a matter of getting people educated, and then I think also getting people consistent with it, where, and that can apply to anything. Consistency is key with anything. I always think it's funny. People are like, oh, I tried it. I tried this, whatever it might be. It didn't really work for me. It's like, well, for how long? Well, I tried it one night, one day.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, then you must be not that much committed to getting well, because, to me, it's really, become a focus of my life, and my daily life is, like you said, especially as an entrepreneur and a business person, is I'm always looking for the next thing to make me a little bit better, whether it's in the gym or on here or whatever, wherever. Like, how can I be stronger, better, faster, and also healthier as a whole? Like, just my body, my vessel as a whole, not just my performance. Because there's a lot of great performance enhancers that are not great in a lot of other aspects.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. You mentioned the pre-workout thing. Like, that is probably the only time I've had a bad supplement experience. It's purely some pre-workout that just made my head want to explode, or I just felt like I was crawling out of my body. I couldn't even work out. But somehow, and I think that's gotten better on some as the testing and research has come along. But, I am excited about some of the research and the things that we're doing around mushrooms, specifically, back stress relief and anxiety relief and or relaxation with Mucimol. And that product coming out. I know you've been doing a lot of research on that. What are your thoughts about excited. That space?
I'm super excited. I think kind of what we've seen with, the cannabis and the hemp space, where it's really grown in, there's so many different forms and facets, but really hammering in on, okay, out of all these cannabinoids, what ones are good for what? I think that's now happening with mushrooms. And like you said, Mucimol, this new compound, not new in the sense, obviously this has been around forever, but new that this is being looked at now as a therapeutic treatment. So the Mucimol gummies comes from the Amanita muscaria mushroom. So people would probably recognize that from like Alice in Wonderland. It's the red mushroom with the white little dots all over it. But one of these mushrooms that for a long time people just were like, oh, it's poisonous. Well, then why is there in all these ancient records and books history of, humans using this as a beneficial therapeutic? So that's kind of the hot one on the street now. And that great anti-anxiety properties, slightly psychoactive. Like, it definitely has anxiety reducing properties. You're going to feel something. It's less of like a vitamin and more of a euphoric. So I would equate it similar to almost like one of our Delta 8 products, where, you're taking the edge off, you're unwinding, you're relaxing, but you're still fully present, and, you're still living life. You're still functioning, and you just might be in a little bit better of a mind state. It also is heavy on your GABA receptors, so lowering your anxiety and your stress in that form, which you can look on Amazon. There's GABA and hundreds of supplements out there right now as well. That's a naturally occurring compound in your brain. So again, it's just another, natural fungi we've identified that has great benefits, very little side effects. Obviously, moderation is key for everything, right?
Yeah. I took, when we got our first samples of the product, Christina, who's on our team, and I both, took a low dose. But I definitely, and admittedly, I'll just, in full transparency, had my normal caffeine of the day, but I felt like a few hours after it, I definitely had a mood boost. I took such a low dose, I definitely didn't get into the psychoactive effects, but I definitely felt, Christina absolutely felt it, and probably her being half my size had something to do with it, but taking the same dosage.
Sure.
Noticed absolute the mood boosting benefits. And that's when I was like, Chris, we're rolling this one, because it was just that obvious. It was something kind of back to the lion's mane thing where it was that tingle in the brain, but this is just more of kind of an overall, okay, I'm not in usually the best mood on a Tuesday at 11 a.m.
Right.
I'm still rolling into the week, a little. And, but I was like, hey, I don't know. I think I complimented somebody's shirt or something. I'm like, I don't compliment people's shirts. What?
Yeah. You're like, who am I?
Who is this guy?
What's becoming of me?
But it was noticeable. And so I'm excited for that launch here in the next few weeks.
Yeah, I'm very excited for that. I mean, I think it's just amazing trying to bring more things to market, educate people. I mean, especially with the mushrooms, there is a lot of, similar to cannabis, right? There's been a lot of agendas for a long time going against these things. And I think as a whole, we're all realizing why, and usually it's money, but kind of, again, educating people to break these stigmas, where even I was one of those people besides shiitake mushrooms and my miso soup, I didn't know much about mushrooms. Didn't really have an interest in exploring them either. However, now, I'm fascinated, and I think there's just so many benefits. But I think even when you start touch on functional and then more into the psychedelic, where we're seeing, like you said, tons of breakthroughs with mental health, addiction, depression, anxiety, all these things. I like to think of this Musamol one as kind of a middle ground where, you're getting some type of a feel-good buzz, but it's not trippy or anything like that, and I want people to understand that this is not a mushroom that's going to make you hallucinate. This truly is like an anti-anxiety relief, feel-good euphoria. Like you said, maybe I'm walking a little lighter on my feet throughout the day and being a little bit nicer to everybody I interact with. That's a win as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think that's, again, back to the premise of getting away a bit and relieving stress and a lot of the pressures of the day. I think finding that natural blend of different supplements and different products that sort of, and I know that's going to be a future episode that I'm excited to get into, which is kind of our daily wellness routine. Kind of building to our next episode, what that routine is, what those things are to kind of create the building blocks for self-optimization and, at least our experiences. And then sort of a guide plan for now that we've done these things for ourselves and we're testing things and we have our own product lines, how you can go about doing that. And I think every personal journey is different, but at the same time, I do think we can help people with kind of mapping out what works and what doesn't, for us. And then I think there's also, Chris, it'll be fascinating to talk about what are the limits here, because you start to, it's kind of like, it's nothing like this because it's all plant-based. You're rarely going to get into something that's one's hurting you, one, mixing them.
Right.
But I do think that's a fascinating part of that discussion we can get in with, where do you cross the line of blending too many things? How many things do you do?
Maybe are some things mimicking what the other things are doing?
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, I know that's something I'm, like you said, I'm trying to optimize the best I can, little this, little that, but it's like fine tuning a machine, you know?
Exactly.
So even myself, I look forward to dialing in on that more.
Exactly.
You know? But I think, like you said, if we can just give our experience and how it's affected us and maybe our circle of people we interact with, and just if it's bringing value, you know, to anybody, like obviously we want to share that. But like you said, everyone's going to be different. You know, everyone's body's different. But I think if we can at least provide some direction, you know, in a starting ground. And then I'm excited to hear people's feedback. Like I want to hear people that are listening, like what works for you? Like maybe there's something I've never heard of, or, you know, some new up and coming thing that isn't on our radar yet, you know?
Yep, exactly. And as a part 2 to this episode on the rise of mushrooms, I'm just going to throw this out there. Chris, I think you and I are on the same mental plane here. So you're going to ride with me on this one. I think we're going to get a mushroom expert on. I think that'll be like part 2. We're going to get like whoever it is, the preeminent, like alternative plant-based, like mushroom guru. We're going to find the mushroom guru. And if you're the mushroom guru and you hear this before you get him on, then you have to ring us at vacay.global. Drop us a DM. We respond to all of them. So that's the best way to give feedback. We may have a podcast specific channel. We've got it, but I think for now, vacay.global is the best way to get us. DM us there. And take your feedback and or guest recommendations around functional mushrooms or any really supplementation whatsoever. So we're going to be starting to fill the show out with some specialist guests and those kind of things. And Chris and I will grill them with our own experiences. And
yeah, man, I'm hungry to learn more. I mean, we've only just touched the tip.
Yeah, exactly. Hey guys, you know where to find us. Takeavacay.com. That's where we learn everything about Vacay, America's most premium plant-based supplement provider and lifestyle getaway collections. For Chris Hansen, Christopher B. Hansen at Instagram, right? Am I getting that right, Chris?
Chris Broby Hansen.
Chris
you almost
Broby.
got it.
I forget the Broby.
We're close enough.
We're getting there. If you Instagram search his name, I bet you pops up.
Yeah, it'll go.
Yes, Chris Broby Hansen on Instagram. I'm at Ryan Alford on all the platforms. We'll see you next time on the Vacay Podcast.